Hi, I'm Colt from the Spit and Text Upholstery. We've had several videos leading up to this. That's our finished last video we made. And these are the smaller versions. There were 6 in total. So we're going to start off with teaching you how to put a welt cord, or piping, as some folks call it, on a blank, prepped. This is all pre-cut, ready to go. Witness marks. Witness marks are your friends. With a piece of 1/4-inch scrim. So I start off on a witness mark always, because that's where your seam's going to be. Remember I mentioned a couple videos back on how to merge 2 pieces of welt cord. So I've already got my stitch down. I'm using the Thor 1541S GS. And it has an adjustment on your foot on top, and then you have your stitch count allowance. So I like to go, if you'll pay attention to here, I like to go at least, 2.5, 3 inches over my witness mark. So I'll start sewing right in front of it, right about there. So bring your light down here, come over, set your needle before you ever start, okay? Get your welt cord over your shoulder to where you can work with it. Keep your 1/2-inch sew allowance. Okay. Forward, back tack. You're locked in. Now, when you sew this down the first time, I like to just sew it down. I don't hug it to where it's perfect the first time. Because when I put the gusset around here, that's another compromising factor, which is when 2 different pieces of fabric meet, the less amount of stitch, the better. So I just like to get the welt cord on there. Now, if you see, I use my thumb and forefinger, my index finger, and I just keep it straight. I mean, you want it on there, but you don't got to really worry about pushing it in like I normally do. So I come around, follow the contouring factors, and then right before there, you're going to do a little relief cut, always about 1.5 inches or so above where you're going to start your contour. Okay, you see how that splays out? Okay, so we're gonna and hug it. Hug that sucker. Get your contour. Do it right or don't do it at all. You'll get better at sewing as time goes on. You can practice and practice. All it will do is make you better. You bend and twist. Use your fingers. You're following a margin. Your principle is 1/2-inch sew allowance. Do not ever deviate, but give yourself that 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch for a reason, as you can clearly see. So make sure it's always that. Don't ever deviate from it. If there's a reason for 1/8 of an inch sew allowance, or whatever the case may be, follow it true. And right when you approach your contours, always 1.5 inches or so above, about 5/8 of an inch, sometimes 1/2 of an inch. Sometimes I like to go 1/2 inch, or even a 1/4 inch sometimes. See how that splays out? It depends on the aggressiveness of that contour. But you follow that contour religiously. And you can push on the foam and push on the welt cord at the same time with your index finger. And if you happen to have some of this that's way more than a half an inch, you just eyeball it and make sure that that hangs over. You can come back and clip it up later if you need to. So where these two meet, you see that? I'm going to hang that over, give myself about 3 inches. I'll show you why later. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave a space in the middle of those two where they meet at about 2.5 inches. Back tack. Pull your string always before you cut it. Always get in a habit of tugging your string, top and bottom. Okay, so this is where 2 pieces of welt cord meet, okay, piping. So I'm going to come over. Okay, this is, you see this? That's, this is your witness mark. You can see that hash mark, okay? I'm over. So what I'm going to do is come over that, I don't know, maybe ½ inch, just to give myself some wiggle room, okay? Then I'm going to come back with my snips and open this up. The first one that you started sewing with can stay locked. You see how that's locked in? That's back tack. That's not going nowhere. So what we do is we come over, okay? And that's probably even a little too much. So we'll come back. So basically that, equidistance. So you want to come back, splay it open, okay? Now, what you do is you come with this, the first one, and cut it at an angle. See that angle? Okay? Now this one, I'm going to pull that back just to where it lays even, and then I'm going to cut that at that same angle. See that? Now watch when they lay together. They're the same. That's about a 1/16 heavy. See how that just lays perfect? They're both cut at the same angle. Always try to think of those things. Transitions, merging, the way things flow, or sew allowances overflow. Make sure everything's even and cut, and you have the same, like the ½ inch sew allowance. That's a perfect premise, because that gives you a rule of thumb, and it makes you think in accordance to that rule of thumb, to where I have a certain amount, okay, and I don't deviate from it in any application. It's just a way that you start thinking when you're doing upholstery, and your product comes out correct. And that's our goal, right? Is correct. So anyway, remember, see how I did that? So I'll come back with this. I like to do like about, I don't know, like a ½ inch. It's my thing. Okay. And then there's our sew allowance. Boom, boom. That's that. So what you do is you come back on the top, use your finger, and take off any threads. Okay. Pull them snug so it's clean. Then, see this? You roll this up. You fold it in on itself and fold it over, okay? That gives you a hemmed edge. So what you do is you lay it down, bring it back, line it up, roll, have that, see that roll underneath it there? You see that splay, that roll? See how those two line up and they're cut at the same angle? Okay? And this is hemmed, basically. And you roll it over on itself, and you bring it up to the bottom. See that? Bring it over on itself. Okay, now we come back over where we left off. Lift your foot, knee foot, come back before. See where my back tack is? Come before the back tack, plant your needle, forward, back tack, you're ready to sew. Then you align your piece, get these hems correct, then you make sure your needle's in your fabric before you go manipulating anything. Okay, and you pull it snug, and then you pull this snug, and then lay it flat and let it relax. and then line up your margin, your 1/2 inch sew allowance, and then start doing your thing. Use your finger to push this up. Okay, keep it snug. Keep it snug. Okay. So that's how you bring 2 pieces of welt together. Okay, and then we will sew our gusset on here. All right, all right. Make you feel better. You can trim it all up to your 1/2 inch. And then you take your gusset just like you did at your old witness mark. You can find it and you can see it right there. You want to come over about 2 inches. And you want to make this a little long. I don't know, at least 1.5 inches. And you want to keep it with that. And this is where you use your finger. And you want this to ride that edge so it lays flat and sews in there. Okay? You can see it up there. You just go about 2 or 3, sometimes 1 inch, however comfortable you are. See my finger? It's pushing that in to where it's going to sew these 3 pieces, this piping, welt cord, and the bottom panel, and this panel together. I have my machine set at 5 1/4. It seems to be sewing correctly. It's giving me outstanding results. And another relief cut here. Do the same thing. This is a gusset that we're sewing now. Okay, see how that displays out the same way. But you got to get a good cut because you got to get through that scrim. So, and you'll see how when they're real tight corners like this, so what you want to do is you want to lay it flat, manipulate that, and you'll bend this. You'll bend this. Lay it flat, bring it forward with your finger. See how I'm doing that? You're using your fingers. And then you pull that up, relief that, and walk it around. You're riding the inside of this welt cord. Okay? And when she's squeaking, that means she's working. And see, I'm pushing into the backside of this while this is going. They're meeting like this. All right. So we have 2 pieces. I chose to do 2 pieces of gusseting on this. And I wanted to do it this way to show you how to, sometimes you have just one long gusset. I could have kept this 2 pieces, but I chose the middle of this panel on this seat cushion to do a merge directly in the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave this loose right here. I'm going to come back. I'm going to back tack just once. I'm going to come up. I'm going to let it go. Okay. So then I'm going to take this other. It's all about what can you fit underneath the sewing machine. How can you more easily keep the flow going, okay? All right, we have a relief right here where we're going to merge when it comes around. We're going to sew this together. We're going to top stitch it real quick. We're going to lay it down. Boom, boom. We're done. We're ready to upholster. So now I gave myself plenty of wiggle room on this. Good side to good side. Same size gusset. Now we're going to take this. We're going to lay it flat. We're going to come in at 1/2 inch because remember, plant your needle, forward, back tack, forward, arrange, align, and run it true. Back tack, 1/2 inch. Lift your needle, knee foot, pull your thread, clip. Pull your thread, clip. Thread behind you, set your needle to where it's on the down It's on the down then. So we come around here like this. All right, we have another. We sewed on the other half of the gusset. So what we do, doesn't matter if you want to pick this way or this way. Doesn't matter at this stage. So what we do, see how much room we have there? So come in 1/8 of an inch, back tack. And sometimes on these older machines, these manuals, your needle will cut your thread. You go back through your guides. Thread your eye. Back through your zipper foot. Make sure she's on the down slope. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so we have a top stitch there. So we can continue on. You will see why now. Even on a curve like that, give them a couple. All it's going to do is make sure that everything lays right and that seat doesn't have any distortions. That's the key to everything when you're doing welt and you're meeting gussets, is distortions. You can't have those. It's not allowed in our industry. Everything has to be perfect. If it's not, you need to go back to Upholstery School 101. And I don't know where those are. Okay, so like I said, this is the sew allowance. Okay, we did this top stitch, so it's laying this way. So I did it this way because I'm sewing this way. And therefore, when I sew this way, see how that, and I always back tack over a sew allowance. I mean, sew allowance or a top stitch. Merge. All right, we're coming up right to another curve. So, you're coming in 1/4 inch, clean cuts, get through the foam and the vinyl. See how that splays out? And you want to walk that, and you'll feel this with this finger. You know where your foot's at, and the inside of that foot's curved. So it's not going to hop the line on you unless you're just not paying attention. And you're trying to do too much or go too fast usually. But you're pushing and tugging. Coming up to another. This is more of a drastic turn. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then bring it up to a half on the outside. See how that splays out real tight in the middle, wider on the outside. So we're going to come through and work your piece. Now I'm going to plant my needle, and now look at this. See how I work my piece? It doesn't go anywhere. See how that is? That doesn't go anywhere. Always remember, before you go fooling around or doing something or grabbing something, plant your needle. I swear to God, plant your needle, and then you're good. So remember, I said manipulate these pieces. You see how that rises up? You can push that back as you go around. That's what these relief cuts do on these corners. They give you that freedom. See how that lays? So then you can come, and with your fingers, you're pushing in, and you're relieving, you're manipulating. See how I'm manipulating this fabric with my fingers? It'll lay right. You'll see it. And go slow. You got to work your foot. You have a pedal. Okay, these are industrial sewing machines. We're not quilting here. And always make sure that your sew allowances line up. You're free floating this. And always run true. And when you get true courses, let your eye tell you, and keep this snug and firm and flat, and let the machine pull your fabric. Don't be tugging on stuff too much. These machines are designed, they have feed dogs underneath that will pull your fabric. See, it's pulling it away from me as it sews. Let the invention speak for itself. So, boom, we have that, we have that. We're going to go there. We're going to come up to a little closer, give myself a little wiggle room. I like about 3.5, 4 inches when I'm merging two pieces like this. Okay. Make sure your thread's always behind you and your needle is on the downswing. Downswing, okay? Good rule of thumb. So we have that. Now, we're at the end of this. So these are lining up real nice. You see that? So what we do is we look down. If you bring the camera over here and look down, I'm going to cut down. I'm going to give myself 1.5 inches. You see how those two pieces meet there? Okay? They fold in on themselves, good side to good side. And once we sew those, look at that. That's a perfect sew allowance. That lays down. You lay that down. You sew over it. You're good to go. Okay, I'll button that up, and this will be the end of this video. I really thank you for watching our channel. Please like my videos if you deem them worthy. I don't pull no punches. It's right or it ain't. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you something I don't know. So we come up to that 1/2 inch. Plant your needle forward, back, forward. Line up the bottom. Line up the bottom. Pull it if you have to, and just gently let the machine take it from you. Back. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Remember, thread, plant, pull, then cut. So now, what we have, we're going to flip this over. All right. We have our top stitch that's knotting in that direction. We're sewing in that direction. Imagine that, lo and behold. So what we'll do is we'll come over here, and we have our needle all the way up. So I'm going to drag it under my foot and keep it flat. So you don't want your needle scratching your fabric. Okay? There'll be a lot of manipulating in upholstery. So you bring it up, come right there, plant your needle forward. Back tack. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. We got a top stitch. These are little cheaters. These are cheaters. You can still do it. This all works. It's all perfect. It's not like you're doing anything under par. This is professionalism. It's just how to work what you're working with. Okay? Boom, boom. Now we take it. We go back to here. We plant our needle 1/2 inch before the last back tack. Whenever you stop, you come forward and then you back tack. Lock it in. Clip your thread. Okay? So it's already back tacked. We come forward. Back tack again. Lay our sew allowance down. Feel our welt cord underneath of there. Make sure we're on line. You can check like this if you need be. And remember, I like to come and then back tack over my sew allowance. Look at that. And see, you'll see some of the thread showing here. So now, what we do and lastly, now everything's in order, everything's fine. You walk around and you look. You don't have to go around the whole thing. You fold down your gusset. Where am I at? Okay, I'm good on my field. Most of this needs to be rowed again. So I'll sink my needle. I'll come forward. Now, you don't have to manipulate or worry about anything. You just worry about this. You can feel this welt cord. And you use that rounded foot to come on the inside of that sew allowance. You see that? And that'll scrunch it down. This way you don't gotta worry about being some rock star sewer right out of the gate. Look at that. You see how you fold it back, you lay it down, and you're on the inside of that sew allowance. You see that? And you're pushing with your left hand. So, and you can splay it out to where you can get a really good, see that? Look at that. That was 1/8 of an inch that we were off. So we weren't off because we were just putting it together. Now we're coming back through and fine-tuning it. So when you lay it down and staple it underneath, it's just a solid welt. And it's perfect. And you can't see any of these stitches. But all of this is technique, and this is how you do this. And I don't know, show me a different way. I'm all ears. This works perfect. We're not cutting any corners. The customer's getting 100% loyal, righteous service. You know, sometimes you'll lose a thread. Okay, where'd we lose it? All right, that was a rookie move. But sometimes your bobbins, they'll run out on you. And I'm teaching, and I don't do this very often, so my bobbin ran out on me. I know. But anyway, so you can look at what I did do. I know. That's awful. Look at that. Look at that. See the separation? There is none. Can you see any white thread there? No, you cannot. Can you see? And I'm bending this. No, that's perfect. Corners. Look at that. Perfect. You can't see no white thread. That is your goal. Step back a little bit. Thank you. But that's your goal. That's another lesson. Be mindful of your bobbins. You know what kind of project you're tearing into, but this is from the last video the other night. And but you know, that's just to keep you flowing. So that's how you do, you know, and this all folds over and we're ready to go. It staples on another cushion just like this. So I'm Colt from Spit and Tax Upholstery, and I thank you for your time. Peace be with you. I'll see you around like a donut. Hop, hop!